Hello and welcome to the channel. In a previous video we started creating the tic-tac-toe game in Excel and I've gotten a lot of questions about it. So in this video I'm going to explain a little more how it is done, how to implement the algorithm to make the computer move and try to win the game. So here's where we left it last time. Please check the other video. I'm leaving the link up here to see what we did if you haven't seen it yet. So basically we added this event procedure here to call move A when we click inside the board. So move A is down here, is gonna add an X if the cell is empty, and then it's gonna call move B, and that's what we saw last time. It's a random move only, and as I said, also we're gonna use a numerical approach. So I'm gonna add first of all another sheet here, and in the same range we're gonna have here numbers for each movement. So, and then I will add here, when we add the X, we're gonna have in sheet 2 the same cell, so it's gonna be range active cell dot address, for example. We're gonna have here the number 1 for our move. Now, when the computer moves, it will be -1. So I have added this button here to start from scratch, so I'm moving here and I'm using the worksheet because I'm programming in Excel. Otherwise, I would be using an array or you know. So the advantage of doing this in Excel is that we can leverage the worksheet as an array, so to speak. And now, as I also explained last time, we're gonna add some formulas here to get the sum for each row. So these three cells here are gonna get the sum for each row. Then here we're gonna get the sum for each column. And then here we're gonna have the sum of the diagonal. So this one, and this one. And the same down here for the other diagonal. Now it's also important to see this is range B1 through E5. This is where we're gonna look at those numbers. So let me, and maybe I'll put it in another module. So let me remove it from here. We're gonna have it in the other module too. So here we're gonna have check move. So set RNG equals in sheet 2 the range between B1 and E5. And the first thing we're gonna check here is if there is a winning move. So we're gonna start from the end to the beginning, so to speak. So if worksheet function dot count if in RNG there is a 3, a +3 is greater than 0, this means, let's put it in a message box, you win. So this would be the following situation. We play here, and when we make 3, you win because there is a +3. We still didn't add the -1. We will get to that. So let's add the -1s whenever the computer plays. So in sheet 2, cells R, C, value -1. So when we play now, we see now the -1 for the computer moves. Okay, now the next thing we're gonna check here is else if worksheet function count if RNG there is a -2, then the computer is gonna make a move to win the game. So this is a winning position for the computer. We're gonna call another macro to make that move. So it's gonna be move B in that gap. So let's call it move B gap. And for -2, because we're gonna use the same macro because we want to look for the gap where there's a -2 to make a -3 and the computer wins. And then in this situation, the computer is gonna win, so you lose. This is what happens here. Now the next thing we have to check is if worksheet function count if there is a +2. So if there is a +2, it means we have 2 in a row and the computer is going to block that move. So in that case, we're going to call the same macro but with +2. And that's, let me comment this for now because otherwise it will prompt an error, and correct this and also this. So that's a situation like this one here. There is a +2 because we have 2 in a row and the computer wants to move here to block that move. But now else, if the center is free, which is C3, if we move first and the computer moves second, then the best move is to take the center. But if the computer moves first, it could take either the center or a corner, for example. So we can check if we moved with worksheet function count for the range B2 D4 is greater than 0, then the computer takes the center. And we're gonna put that into another macro. Let's call it make move B for C3 dot address. So it's gonna take the address. And make move B can be, for example, here, which takes the cell address, and it's gonna be exactly the same as what we did here. Actually, we can replace that with make move B, and this is gonna be in sheet 1 for now for range cell, and it's gonna add in sheet 2 also same cell a -1. Then if the center is taken, we're gonna check if there's a corner advantage. So for that, we're gonna set this corner RNG equals range, the four corners, which is B2, D2, B4, and D4. And we're gonna have another one, which is side RNG, and this is gonna be the sides, which is B3, C2, and C4, and D3. So this is this one, this one, this one, and this one. These are the sides, and the other one was the corners. So else if worksheet function count A, for example, corner RNG is greater than 0, and there is at least one side free, which if worksheet function count A for the side RNG is less than 4, then, and maybe let me put it in two different lines so that you see everything here. Then the computer is going to move in one of the sides. And this is a defensive move if the computer doesn't have the center, but if the computer has the center, it's going to force to make a defensive move. So else if worksheet function, now we're going to have the corner, if there is any corner free is less than 4, then it's going to move in the corner, which is very similar to this macro. Actually, we're going to put those together. And else finally is going to make a random move. So move B random. And this move B random, we're going to end here the if. This move B random is going to be the one that we had in the previous video over here. Now let's have a look at these two here. And I'll put that in another module. So move B side. So we want to make a random move. We want to move in one of the sides. And actually, so we're going to pass this range here. And actually, we can, this and these macros can actually be the same. So let me recall them. I'm going to recall them like a random move in this range or a random move in this other range. So basically, it's going to be the same macro, but the range is different. So in this range, it's gonna pick one of these 4 cells randomly, and the same with this one. So to do that, there are many different ways to do it, but one way to do it probably, and we will have to put this in a loop as we did here. This is very similar to this macro up here, but it's not exactly the same. So we're gonna have randomized, and we're gonna have the number as R&D times 4 plus 1. So from 1 to 4, we're going to pick one of those 4 cells if it's empty. And this range, we're going to pass it here as RNG, for example. And then we're going to use the area. So if rng.areas n dot value is empty, then we can add it there. And areas is for this particular range, we have 4 areas. Areas means the groups of cells separated by a comma, and in this case we have 4 separate cells separated by a comma, so there are 4 areas in this range. Then we can call the make move b for rng.areas n dot address. And sorry, before we end the if, we have to exit the do loop or the sub altogether. So this macro will work for both situations. And I'm changing this random move. That's how we call it here. And now the last thing we need to do is to create these macros, which will require to pass this range, by the way. So rng comma -2 and rng comma 2. We're gonna have those in another module. So here we're gonna have move b gap with the range and the number, which is +2 or -2. So the first thing I do is to get the cell with the formula. So let's set formula cell equal, and we're gonna use that range with the find method, and we're gonna have here the number, but actually, let me put it this way, the what is gonna be the number, that's what we need to find, but we need to use the look-in parameter to look only for values. So remember we were passing this number, which is going to be either -2 or +2. So we are only using this other macro for the situation where there is a +2 like here, and the computer needs to move here to block the winning position, or there's a -2 and the computer is going to move to win the game. And then I'm going to get this, I want to get this range, B3 through D3. And to do that, I'm going to use some VBA functions. So now I'm going to use the function split to get only the reference range in the formula. So for that, I'm going to call that actually formula reference. And with the split function, we're going to split the formula cell dot formula, okay, because that's a range object. We're going to get only the formula, and then we're going to split it by equal sum, because all the formulas have the sum function. Then we're going to get the first, so the second part of the array generated. And to make this clear, I'm going to declare, so this one here, formula cell, is a range object, is a cell, and this one, but this one is a string. Now I'm going to remove the parentheses to get just the address, and I'm going to put that into another variable, formula cells, and I will use the mid function. You could use also replace and replace the parentheses with nothing, but I'm going to use this one, formula ref. I'm going to start from position 2 because the position 1 is the first parenthesis, and then for as many characters as the length of formula ref -2. So this is going to remove the first parenthesis and the last parenthesis. And now finally we're going to put that into a, let's call it target cells, which this is going to be a range with formula cells. And again, I'm going to declare this formula cells is also a string, but target cells is a range. And I'm going to have cell as a range because now we're going to loop for each cell in target cells dot. We're going to use a special cells to get only the blanks because we are getting B3 through D3, and then we're going to loop through this range to get this blank. It's going to be only one blank always. And then we can, with that blank, we can call move B with cell.address because the move B routine, and of course call, accepts an address. We go to the next, and that's the routine to move when there is a -2 or a +2. And yet another thing we need to check is if there's a draw. So if worksheet function dot count a range b2d4 is less than 9, then we can call this macro to make the random move. And I'm gonna copy paste this. Down here we will say if it is 9, then it's a draw. So let's come back here. If we play the center, the computer is gonna play a corner. If we play a corner, the computer is gonna play the center. If we play a side, computer is also gonna play the center. So if we play the center is taking a random corner the first time. Now if we play now here, it's gonna block, of course, because we had a +2 situation. And we have to block the computer here, and it's gonna be a draw because there's no other chance to win. If we play the corner, computer's gonna play there, and if we try to make something, the computer is gonna force us to block here, and it's gonna be a draw. So it's basically impossible to win. It's always gonna be a draw unless we make a mistake, of course, and the computer will win. Now we can see how the computer wins if I make a mistake somehow. Here, of course, computer is gonna put 3 in a row to win the game. And unfortunately, there's no situation where we can win against the computer with this algorithm. You can try if you manage to do it. So that's how we implement the tic-tac-toe algorithm in Excel with VBA macros. Thanks for watching.